All right. So thank you for coming tonight. My name's Abby Zarnecki. I work for the Nevada, let me start my video too for you. I work for the Nevada Department of Wildlife. My name's Abby Zarnecki again. And this is the Southern Nevada Fish Series. Tonight we'll go over black bass in the southern region mainly. If you are from up north and have any questions about that too, we'll go over those. So definitely, I do recommend having your regulations in hand, either the 2019 or 2020. They're pretty similar. And you can either download them to your phone, and Lauren or Jess, that will help moderate tonight, can send you those links in the chat box. So you can click on those to download. And then it's a family rated program. So any questions, comments that are off topic other than fish, we will delete and or may have to remove you from the program. So just a warning. And please let us know if you have any questions. Introduce our awesome guest speakers for you tonight. There we go, get it to move. So we'll start with Spencer Lazara. If you want to go ahead and turn your video on and introduce yourself.
Hi guys, Spencer Lazara, and I got into fishing relatively recently, but I kind of dove in hard. It's been on about 2 years in the Las Vegas area, but I started fishing in East Texas with my grandpa, and just it's a way for me to get out of the city, to the quiet, and it's grown into something I love, and tournament fishing as well is something that I've been doing a lot of now. So yeah, that's all I got, I guess, for an intro.
Well, and you started your YouTube channel, and you've had
yeah. So I have a YouTube channel. I put out videos. In fact, I was just working on one. I'm just putting out just because I had a guy asking me a question about spinning tackle, and I just put together a little video. So I'm about to release that, and it's YouTube/Reel Bassin. Reel, of course, spelled like fishing, R-E-E-L, Bassin, B-A-S-S-I-N. So you can find some cool videos, and I mean, see a lot of what I do out there on the water through my channel. So check it out.
Definitely. And then our second guest speaker, who will be with us any moment, is Corey Williams, and he's from Boulder City, and he is the president of the Boulder City Bass Club. It's actually a junior bass club, so it's intended for teenagers. And he has been a 3-time junior and high school state champion, and they went to nationals last year. They helped with Free Fishing Day and donated in conjunction with Bass Pro Shop, were able to donate fishing rods to the local Cub Scouts. That was pretty awesome before Free Fishing Day last year. And you can see from the pictures on our PowerPoint here, some awesome catches, and these are all recent. So this is some potential any of us have. So we'll get going to the next one. So as you're watching the Zoom webinar, just a couple things to keep in mind. We will try to look for raised hands, but because your audio is turned off and your camera is as well, your best bet to communicate with us will be through the Q&A. We will open the chat only during like open forums. So when we ask you guys general questions, so we'll open the chat for that, and then go ahead and any big questions, which we do like lots of questions, can go into the Q&A box. And if you don't see it right away, that is because we are getting ready to answer it either live or we'll send you a message on the side. And then it'll pop up for everybody to see. And yeah, so start getting those questions ready. And this is a little picture of what this year's 2020 regulations look like. So here's a picture right out of the fishing regulations on page 28 of the Southern region. It's kind of hard to see because very, very small print, but this fishable waters map does come in a full size. I want to say it's like 4 by 5 feet unfolded, and it'll go through all, it's literally a huge paper map that'll have all your fishable water options on it. So we're definitely going to focus on this bottom half, because as soon as you start getting up here, it starts getting really cold, and most of this is mountain stream. So this is all trout on this side. And then actually right along here is Kerch. There's some awesome bass in the Kerch Wildlife Management area and all those reservoirs, sometimes called Sunnyside. And then over here is Eagle Valley and Echo. There's some awesome bass in there. So yeah, we'll look at that. Our speaker for next week, hopefully, actually has a great video on Echo Canyon, or I'm sorry, Eagle Valley. They're literally right next to each other too. So Eagle Valley, and they caught some bass, crappie, and trout out of there last week. All right, so before you get going on the water, make sure you have your fishing license. So just want to reiterate that. Really easy to remember, NDOW, which is our abbreviation, licensing.com. And you do create an account, and if you fish here all the time and just haven't gotten one in a while, you can actually click auto renewal, and then you don't even have to worry about having one. It automatically renews. You just have to print it out each year or save it to your phone. I do recommend, if you're new, so let's do that poll real quick. We do have a poll. I'll go ahead and start that. Let's see where everybody's fishing, how much angling we do. It is anonymous. I don't see who says what. I just see how many. So no names, don't worry. And then everybody will get to see. So hopefully 2 more people will answer. Give it 5 more seconds. Get that last vote in. Just gauges how much of a presentation we need. And how big the questions will be. All right. All right, we're gonna end the poll then, unless you can see the poll. Oh. All right, so share results. So it's all over the board, which is pretty cool. So we'll actually go over basics, and then we'll go into some really awesome stuff. And I know Corey's got his fishing pole and gear tackle ready to show you guys some actual lures he uses and some gear. All right, stop sharing and close. All right, so since some of you are new to fishing, I definitely recommend a fishing trip checklist. They have them right online for you. Orvis, Shakespeare, Zebco, takemefishing.org. They all have fishing checklists. So I do recommend one. That way you don't forget your favorite lure, bait in the fridge. We've all done that. And just in case the store's out on the way out to the water. You do need a fishing license if you're 12 and older. 12 to 17, it's only $15 for a whole year. And then do some research, and that's why we're doing these webinars. And that way you have an idea of what you're getting into. Most of our urban ponds have a 3 fish limit. So 1 trout, 1 bluegill, 1 bass, it all counts. So only 3 fish total. And check your weather. We all know flash floods come out of nowhere. Floyd Lamb's a great bass fishing right in the Northwest, but it can flood. They're working on obviously deterring the water around the park, but it's definitely flooded. So in Lake Mead, Willow Beach, all those places, the water comes in, and you don't want to get stuck down there. So definitely watch the weather and be prepared. All right. So I'll Actually, here's a great chat opportunity if we want to open up the chat box. And if you guys want to type in what you think your big difference is for the largemouth and smallmouth bass, and then I'll stop talking and let Corey and Spencer answer what they look for when they're differentiating between largemouth and smallmouth bass. So feel free to type in what's the big difference to you with the bass. All right. Everybody's quiet tonight. All right, so number one, obviously the jaw's a little bigger on a largemouth bass. The jaw will go past the eye. So like right along here, a little bit further, you can see the difference there. There is a deeper notch here versus the smallmouth bass. And greenish body, and then the long horizontal line. And then we'll go through these. Go ahead, Corey, I know we talked about it a little bit the other night when we were preparing for this. What do you look for?
I really just look to see which one's brown, which one's green. Sometimes you do have like those ones, or you have a mean mouth, which is a combination of the two. But sometimes you do have those ones that you can't really tell. So the main thing is the jawline that I look for. But then sometimes, the fins can be a thing, but with different accidents and stuff, they don't always have those significant features.
Spencer, anything you look for in your bass when you're catching it except for size?
I mean, I'm looking for the biggest guys, but I mean, typically areas you're going to fish out here are typically not going to hold both as much. You know, you're going to have your smallmouth and your largemouth typically. Of course, they migrate, depending on season, so you can still catch them in those areas, but by and large, I'll be surprised a lot. So sometimes where I might catch a largie, every now and then, but typically that's going to be some smally areas, and it's mainly the jawline, like you said. I mean, you can tell pretty quickly between them. It's not, like Corey said, there can be a hybrid happening, but it's pretty rare.
Awesome. All right, so on our website, you can definitely check for all of this. We do have additional research. We have fishing guides. We have an annual fishing report, and it goes over each water, what fish species you'll find in each water. It is an awesome book. I print it out each year and put it in a binder and switch it out for next year's. I do recommend, if you're not familiar with our waters, to look through that. And then we do have our short version, which is our fishing guide that will give you more information. So if you go to fishing and you go to where to fish and you search for a specific species, and this is literally how the website will click through too, then you click on largemouth bass or smallmouth bass, your choice, and it'll give you the most popular bodies of water. Our website is getting redone, so these will definitely will be more accurate soon, so you'll have more options or fewer options depending. So this actually, I take it back, this just gives you all of our waters, or some of our waters, because it doesn't list everything. This is just for Clark County. Mesquite's not going to have bass, just a warning. And either is Boulder City Pond. It doesn't have enough vegetation, so we'll go over that too. But it'll give you an idea of the bodies of water in southern Nevada and in a certain area. And you can see Mesquite all the way up here. Lake Mead is actually marked all the way over here, but obviously this would be our best bass here, and some up through here in Echo. The over 10 Basin, or I'm sorry, the Virgin Basin. And down through here, Cottonwood Cove. So, but it's an interactive map, so you can literally click on it. You can zoom in and out. You can go up to Kerch and find specific waters, and it gives you the details on the water. So what kind of water you're looking at fishing. We do also print the Fishable Keys map. And so on this, you can actually take the key over here, find LMB, which is our largemouth bass, and click and go through. So actually, I made the clicking option. So for the Colorado River, you can find largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, and then all of the ponds, Floyd Lamb, Lake Mead. So it's broken up by streams and then lakes and reservoirs. And then Mojave, Sunset Park, Eagle Valley, Echo, Nesbitt, and Pranic gets a very few. So just a warning for that. Definitely the carp have taken over at Pranigat, but there have been a few. And then up at the Kerch Wildlife Management Area, all these waters are a part of it. And so some are better than others for largemouth bass, but I definitely recommend getting out and getting up there. Beatty Urban Pond is actually more towards Tonopah and will be north of Pahrump. So that's not in the same area. And we haven't seen largemouth bass in there in a while. So if you do get one, please let us know. All right, and some more little options here. You can click or look through the fish and they give you a bigger detail on what you're looking for. So you have largemouth bass here, tells you all about the spines, the jaw, and where you can find them, and then smallmouth bass over here as well. We do conserve bass. We also conserve bluegill. I know we've had a few questions on that. It is considered a game fish. So, and it is part of the sunfish family. They all are. Largemouth bass can be pretty cannibalistic, just like a northern pike. And some of us are really familiar with come-ins and those issues with the pike up there. But there's some amazing bass up in Cummins, but that'll be our eastern region. We can get some bass from 15 to 38 inches and 1 to 22 pounds. A little over 22 pounds, I believe, is our record. And we do track the habitat, and we do actually enhance some of the habitats along the Colorado River for bass. And we do like to ask if we go out what you're catching and if you're having any success. We love seeing the pictures. All of that definitely helps, and that's citizen science for us. So all of your stuff can definitely help. We can't be everywhere at once. So thank you for getting out. Bass are not stacked. I did do some looking around, and I did not see any bass farms out here. So FYI, we don't stock bass, but I do want to double check and see if there were any states around here that were stocking them, and definitely didn't see that option. Out east, there are some, but not out west. So that's just something to keep in mind when you're taking a bass. We don't stock them. So if you take all the little babies out, obviously they're not going to get big. There won't be those big bass to catch. Here's some cool stuff from Fish Brain. You can see this guy caught it 3 days, well, it'd be 5 days ago now, and he used a chatterbait. Some of the hot spots that we see largemouth bass pop up in: Government Wash, Cawville, Virgin Basin, Willow Beach, but usually a little bit further south because that water is still pretty cold, so towards Cottonwood Cove and down towards Catherine's Landing or the Nevada Telephone Cove. So definitely an easy app. And also, what is in the chat box, if you guys want to say what your favorite apps are. Spencer or Corey, do you guys have any favorite apps that you guys use?
I mean, like I just went to Austin this last weekend and I look on FishBrain, but I don't pay for it and it's tough. So Austin's kind of a weird place anyway. It's sort of river systemy. It's not like a lot of the rest of Texas I had been to where there's just a pond at every turn that you could go catch a bass in. So, but I mean out here it's you just got to get time on the water like everybody always says, I guess.
How about you, Corey? Do you use any apps or?
I mainly go off Facebook and Instagram. I try to follow a lot of guys and see what they're doing out here. For personal use, I have in like my notes, I log every trip that I go on. So that way I can look back years past and say, I did good on a Texas rig in 15 foot of water on humps, you know? So I will do stuff like that. I don't really use any of the apps too much because doesn't seem like anybody that's really posting a lot doesn't really seem to be on them.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I'll say, an app that I utilize extensively is Windfinder, because going back to what you talked about earlier, as far as safety first, like if there's anything that I can stress more than anything, including catching any fish, is to be safe. So you need to check the wind before you get out on the water, assuming you're on a vessel. And, you know, even shore, I mean, if you're shore fishing, it's super windy, it might be a little bit tough. So that's one app that I utilize I check it every day, regardless of if I'm fishing now.
Right. NASA, I have to say this, I just found out NASA even has a program, and to help the weather system, you can actually help take pictures of your sky and make sure it is accurate. And they can actually start collecting all of this data. So like when we have our windy, cloudy days, and we've had cloudy days that there was no chance of rain and it totally rained. So if you get those kind of things, NASA's actually looking for that input from citizen science. So I do recommend that. And yeah, wind can be almost as dangerous, if not worse, when you're on the water, and can capsize a boat. So that's a whole nother topic. Hopefully we'll get into more bass stuff or boat stuff too in one of our webinars. But definitely those wind apps will definitely help you in the long run. And that is definitely, for out here, an indicator of a big storm coming. So. All right, so where are the bass hiding? And back to you guys again, Corey and Spencer. What are you looking for above the water before you get in the water?
So when I'm going out, I usually use, it's called Navionics web app, and it's basically like a website, and it has pretty much every lake, it has contour lines, so you can see how deep the water is. And I use that, and I'll go and I'll find spots that I think look good. I'll find points, because generally out here, our fish are in 40 to 40 feet of water or less. So I try to find drop-offs and humps and ridges in water that's 30 feet or less. So that way, then once I get on the water, I have that plugged into my fish finder, my graph. And I'm looking and see, okay, I'm looking above the water, because usually what's above the water is below the water. So if I see trees and stuff, I know there's probably going to be some trees and maybe some grass mixed in. If I want to fish rocks, I'll go look for rocks above the water and then go around there. And, you know, either our water's clear enough, but usually you can look down and you can see. So it really just depends, because most of our water's clear enough, I can just look down, or I can use my graphs and I can see what kind of structure we have that's down on the bottom. And that's how I usually base what I'm going to fish for. I'm going to go for smallmouth or largemouth, and what baits I'm going to use after that.
Awesome. Anything to add, Spencer? You got it.
Not really. Yeah, that's pretty spot on.
Awesome. And word of mouth. When you're commenting I just want to throw this in. When you're adding comments to the chat that you would like everybody to see, which is always awesome, make sure it says all panelists and attendees. Robert Morin from Sportsman's in the Northwest definitely relies on word of mouth from many folks. And that goes back to what Corey was saying and all the apps and stuff like that. If you have some awesome friends, talking to your buddy might even be more reliable than some of the stuff we see right online.
Don't let you find me in my spot.
Yeah. And then hence the picture down, right? Facing down or up sky view. All right, so some of our favorite lures. So definitely plastics, worm, monsters, lizards, super shad, swim baits, crankbaits, topwater lures. Depending on how hungry they are, I've seen some bass going after rooster tails, they were fishing for trout, total accident, but you never know what you're gonna get. And some awesome, those big boo jigs. So Corey, did you wanna show off some of your lures? And
Don't really want to. But so I have, this is my tray of soft plastics that I keep in my boat. That stuff I usually use year round. I'm going to use a lot. So I have go-tos for me. Things like little craws. This is made by Gary Yamamoto. It's a little like 3 3/4 inch craw. You know, I use like green pumpkins, cinnamons, stuff that's natural since we have really clear water usually. That's usually on a Texas rig. I like drop shot, something like this, you know, something finessey, this is like a power worm or a robo worm. And even when it gets super tough, I go super natural. And these are called Has It On Shad by Megabass. And they're a great little finesse when fish aren't biting anything. I put that on and they're able to see it. And then also I do mix in something like a big jig, you know, this big football head jig, you know, 3/4 ounce. I'll put like a craw on the back of it and drag it along, you know, hop it along because it looks like a craw at a big, easy meal because bass are opportunistic feeders. If there's an opportunity to eat, they're going to use it. And things like this, a West Coast staple is a robo worm. And I usually stick to the 4.5 inch. Sometimes I go to the 6 inch. But you know, your ox bloods, your morning dawns, your orange magics, stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think, what are they eating? And there's crawfish and a lot of shad, obviously. So you want to kind of match that. I think Corey saying opportunistic feeders, when the bite is tough, you got to sort of force feed them, and they will eat, but it can be tougher, right? When they're coming to the top and hitting anything moving, it's a little bit easier. For you shore anglers, you're gonna try to get out there in the right hours and hit some top water, and then you're gonna probably want to be weedless. So you're gonna want to throw a Texas rig, something with a plastics like what Corey was saying with an EWG hook, as opposed to an exposed hook like most jigs or a Ned rig or something like that. Just an exposed hook. So when you're on shore, you're going to probably be going to the weedless type stuff more. You know, on a boat, you can get away if you're fishing open water more with something exposed. So, you know, I love the jig. If you watch any of my videos, I love to throw the jig. I think Corey was right with swim baits and things like that. That'll match a shad, just those small swim baits. And yeah, I mean, and then the Ned rig, you know, like, I mean, for beginners, you just want to go out and catch some fish. Anybody who comes on my boat that hasn't really fished much, I'm pretty much throwing them on a Ned rig. And this is like a hook that's similar, but it's weedless. So if you are on shore, you can use this and still throw the Ned rig. You'll want a little more power in your tackle to set that hook than on the exposed, but both of those will work. If you don't mind losing and cut and retying, then you can go exposed from shore. But you're going to lose some of those. TRD, is the plastic you use on a net, or a TRD craw. Anything Z-Man, it's going to be good bang for your buck because they last a lot. So yeah, I mean, obviously top water is the most fun. So get out there the right hours, and you won't lose a whopper plopper plopping along top.
Awesome. And Rob, did you want to throw anything in? I see you were able to join us.
I'm a fly fisherman. Everybody knows that. So I'll throw big old flies. I'll throw mice patterns. Like those guys were saying, I'll throw shad flies at them. And I'm getting into the bass thing. It's a heck of a try for me from coming from a fly rod to, bass, but I'm working on it. That's why I rely on fantastic people like your panelists so far.
Awesome. Back to Sharon over here. So some of the bass tips and regs, and Spencer was saying different rig setups, and definitely can find this on YouTube as well on how to set all these up. You can also find the diagrams, and depending on the weeds, setting it up to where the hook's barely sticking out. And for presentation and everything like that, you'll have the different setups. Okay, and then we do answer a couple more questions. We do fish for carp. We're gonna do a carp presentation. Total side note, but I figured I'd answer it real quick. Because we have some awesome carp anglers out here, thanks for some advice from Rob too. We are going to do a carp presentation, which will be part of the fish series. I think we're looking at July 1st, so it'll be right that Wednesday before the 4th of July. And we'll get some of our amazing carp anglers and go over all of that. All right, so definitely probably not going to catch a carp with these rigs, but you never know. So definitely different rigs, different presentations that will attract the bass. All right. Fishing report, if we see anything amazing, we do try to throw it in the fishing report, not necessarily to give the location of where it came from, but it is broken up into Lake Mead, Mojave, Echo, Spring Valley, which is Eagle Valley, and Kirch. And if anything is pretty size worthy, like if we get a 5-pound bass out of some of the waters, we definitely want to throw it out there because it definitely keeps you wanting to go fishing. So keep them coming. We won't give your exact spot, I promise, but definitely want to say like if we got it on Mojave and stuff like that. So leave this up for a minute, and then do you guys have any favorite fishing spots? Corey, Spencer, or Rob? Not that you like that. You can give a general direction.
Yeah, of course. No, I mean you want smallies. You want to find some rock. You want largies. You're gonna have to work for them. And that goes for Mojave or Mead. Mojave's really just a better fishery. It seems like overall, there's not nearly as much water to cover down there, I guess. So, but you can catch them going north out of Cottonwood or south. I mean, you can catch them anywhere. you just got to find them and they move. So it's hard to say a spot. It's more like you got to figure out where the fish are. Are they, you know, in that time of year? Typically, there's so many videos. Shoot, I mean, you can watch mine different times of year and see what I'm doing all the time, you know, but you can look up Tactical Bassin and check them out, and they really break it down to a science of how to try to find these fish. Now, easier said than done out here on our waters. I mean, there's plenty of days I go out and I'm like, I probably shouldn't have come fishing today. So it's just tough, you know, and chasing around these little green and brown things for hours, and it's hot. It sometimes seems like a lot to do, but it's fun. And if you stick with it, you'll find some spots that seem to produce for you.
Any other advice?
So some of my favorite places that I've been to, Kirch, we call it Sunnyside. We've done really good up there. You know, we've had days where we catch 200 fish in a day, no problem. You know, throwing little plastics, little spinners, you know, cast masters. Eagle Valley, Grandpa has caught 2 6.5-pound largemouth out of there. We've had plenty of 100 fish plus days. I was up there like the last day of May, and in 3 hours I caught like 50, nothing over a pound. I put my little stepbrother on a little net rig like we were talking about earlier, and he caught like 15 bass in under like 30 minutes. So places like that, they do like I said, they do have some big fish, but they have lots of numbers. It's good to teach, you know, because I learned on Sam Hollow up in southern Utah, and that was a good place because I got to learn everything I needed to know. I learned how to drop shot, jig, crankbait, topwater. And so when you got to places like Mead Mojave, you can take your knowledge that you learned on those places where you get lots of bites, and it gives you confidence, because fishing is all about confidence. So, you know, Eagle Valley, I've done okay at Echo. I have buddies that really like it. But Eagle Valley, Echo, Kirch, I have caught a few out of the Boulder City Pond because I live out here. But yeah, if I'm gonna go on Mojave, I'm gonna lean more towards like Nevada Bay area, and depending on time of year, either drop offs or humps, or some sort of rocks, like Spencer was saying. If I'm going to Mead, I like to stick towards Temple Bar area, and I live right by it, so I fish near the dam a lot, in Kingman Wash.
Awesome. Just want to double check. Have you guys ever used live bait? As in, one of our questions is, will the black bass eat gizzard shad? Have you ever seen that?
Yes, I have. We sometime during shad spawn, like just happened. We'll use lots of crankbaits and stuff, shad crankbaits. I think I have a big one. So, you know, like we use lots of, you know, anything that represents a shad basically. So sometimes you'll fish it through them really fast and you'll snag them because these are those big treble hooks. So one day my dad snagged one. I'm like, wanting to try that. So I put it on a drop shot, and literally not even 3 seconds later, yeah, they will eat the gizzards, but usually the striper gets to them first.
Definitely. Mojave too, we definitely, the water level is more consistent, and I know we've been able to do a lot of habitat projects, and we do have some of the bass tracked. So if you do ever catch a bass with honestly, it'll have stitching on its belly, let us know, and please put it back and try to make it survive. Our CPR, right? So, but let us know that you caught it too. And so we do those habitat projects throughout Mojave and up and down the river, all across there, and a lot of the coves. So that could be definitely a reason that the bass is a little better and more consistent for you guys. Go ahead, Corey.
So I was told it was about 5 years ago. So I think it's like 5 or 6 years ago in Mojave, there was a huge carp die-off. Like I heard pretty much every carp, like some sickness came through and killed off most of the carp. Well, after that happened, all the crawdads started going crazy because they were eating all these dead carp. And so once all the crawdads started going crazy, there was an overabundance of crawdads. So that's basically how we think that we got the big smallmouth. And because it used to be, you'd get like a 7 or 8 pound largemouth. Now you're getting consistent 4 to 5 pound, sometimes even 6 pound smallmouth. Like I know Spencer does really good with that. He's really good, get those 4 to 5 pounders consistently. And that's because we had that huge carp die off, which brought all those crawdads.
We need to do that at meat.
Food source.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you can throw those plastic crawdads too, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So just throwing it out there again, with the COVID and everything like that, obviously we want to encourage social distancing. And as soon as all that came out for us, I was like, that's basic ethic anglers. So if you're an ethical angler, you're going to give your fellow fishermen space. You're going to be responsible with that, which also means keeping your water clean and respecting each other. Let them go, let them grow is one of my favorites too. And that's where I went back to us not stocking bass. Go ahead, and if you do really want to keep the bass, maybe keep the middle ones, let the big ones reproduce, let the small ones get bigger and more fun to catch. We have one guy, and actually I was meant to get a hold of him. Joe fishes Floyd Lamb all the time. I talked to him at our fishing clinics for our field trips and stuff like that I guess last year we weren't able to do them this year. And Joe goes out there all the time. You can see him wandering the shorelines. It does take him, like you guys were saying, a lot of practice and a lot of time on the water. And he will get some monster bass, and you'll get to see him on Facebook. He posts there mainly. And he lets them go. So he may end up catching the same one again, but at least like it's there. It's a chance for somebody else to catch one. So we do recommend that, or I recommend, I can't say everyone, but selective harvest, where it goes into that, eat what you're gonna catch. And again, it's only a 3 fish limit. So we'll get to the questions in one more minute. And preserve your passion. And so with our YouTube channels, these guys are awesome about sharing their passions with you. Protecting the legacy, which is encouraging the youth to get out on the water. The Willow Beach picture up here is we took 100 anglers out in one day. We did 2 groups of 50. So that's why it's a little crowded. And again, this was last fall. This wasn't any time recently. And so we took people out there from different groups and took them fishing. The Boulder City Bass Club helped out with the clinic, and you can see different groups along the edge, and the mentors there helping new little anglers, keeping that going. And Hemingway Fishing Pier is an option, but especially for right now, I do recommend just going along the shoreline. There's some awesome points out there that you can fish from, and spread the word, like with YouTube and everything else. With the 3 fish limit, I'll answer this live. Yes, that means total 3 fish. The only exception to the 3 fish limit is carp. And again, carp are so much fun to catch, especially with our basic fishing rods. If it's okay to put them back, it is okay to take them out too. And then that gives an opportunity for bass and trout to reproduce. The water does get pretty warm for trout, so it is hard for them to hold over. But that does mean 3 fish total. That doesn't mean 3 trout. It doesn't mean 3 bass or sunfish. It's 3 fish total. So I tried to say it at the beginning, and I'm glad we get to sum it up again. So say you go out in May and you catch 1 trout, you catch 1 bluegill, and you catch 1 bass. That's your limit. So once you have 3 fish, you are done. You can't keep straight amount.
That's at the ponds only.
That's at the urban ponds, yes. On the river, it's 5 trout and let me double check the full numbers, and something else we're working on too. Let me minimize everything. And then we'll get some more questions. So we've got we have 6 black bass. So if you catch 3 largemouth and 3 smallmouth, that's 6 bass. So 3 bass or 6 bass total, 5 trout total, and 15 crappie. So there are some of those. And no limit on the striped bass, less than 20 inches. But if they're over 20 inches, your limit's 20 on striped bass. So yes, so with the late question there. So that's, yeah, I can, let me see if I can copy and paste this too. I'll put it in the chat since we hit answered. Feel free if there's anything else. I'll add attendees. There we go. So Lake, Mead, and Mojave, and I am live. Gabe, can you wait 10 minutes? Thank you. All right. Speaking. Okay, so let me double check. Why did it disappear on me? Answered it. We are hoping to start volunteer opportunities again soon. Hopefully in July, we can even start doing smaller classes. Definitely, these are hopes and dreams and wishes. So if you are interested in volunteering for any of our habitat projects, please let us know. We do have signups on the website. Right now it's shut down because we're switching over in July. So it'll be the new system. So go over this real quick and then I'll double check the questions and I'll ask our moderators what we're missing. Hashtag clean my water. So if you go out and you're on the water and you see some garbage, if you take a picture, fill your net, put it in a bag, tag it on Instagram or Facebook with hashtag clean my water, and get Nevada to turn green. Right now we're blue because we don't have any pictures of cleaning the water. And I know you guys are out there cleaning up the waters. So definitely try to get a picture of it just to spread the word. First catch on takemefishing.org. You get an awesome certificate, so especially to keep those kids interested. And we said to check the weather and the site conditions. So sometimes stuff gets washed out. So definitely double check Instagram. Actually, and that's what Twitter's for me, is just to check last minute additions, alerts. Lake Mead's been really good on when they're over capacity and they start shutting down some of the launch ramps. They will let you know on Twitter. So that'll be honestly an app I do recommend. And yes, I did hear that mysterious name. There will be a cleanup on Boulder Beach the 27th. Who should they contact if they're interested? I don't know which organization is actually in charge of that. But it'll be next Saturday, the 27th at 8 a.m. on Boulder Beach. And is that the person Boulder Beach, or is that towards PWC Beach or the pier? Hopefully we'll get an answer. They said Boulder Beach, so that would be the main person beach.
Hey, Abby, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, it's Rob. I think that cleanup, I had seen something through Las Vegas Fishing Club.
Okay, yeah, he just added that. And it'll be,
I believe. I don't know who's heading it up. I can definitely double check on that.
all right, awesome. So yeah, Las Vegas Fishing Club, there will be a giveaway, I heard too. So definitely look at that Facebook group or that the cleanup details. And that way you can get a code if you don't have an annual pass yet. keep. All right, so we have been answering questions. Awesome. Here's my contact info. Thank you for joining. Before you leave, before anybody leaves, if you can do the survey on the way out, tell us what you're looking for, what you liked about this one. Constructive criticism is always thankful. And we had some great guest speakers, so thank you so much. And our awesome moderators, were there any questions I missed or that we should go over?
I'd like to thank the panelists. You know, Spencer, appreciate you answering my text and jumping in here.
My pleasure, Rob. Thank you, man. Thanks for everything you do for everybody. You know, you're a great guy.
Hey, that's what us old people do.
Make the connections.
Good people, man. And yeah, just, you know, for me, it's all about being safe and having a good time. So really just be mindful of your safety, because it can be dangerous, and you know, we don't want anything bad happening to anybody.
All right, so Lauren added too that the Boulder Beach section will be the actual Boulder Beach. So look for the group there at 8 a.m. on the 27th. Always give yourself time to get out there, especially on the weekends. So yes, thank you so much for being awesome moderators. Thank you, Rob, for joining all this and helping me find these guys.
Thank you.
Moderator, sorry, I think I said that wrong. My alerts keep going off. But maybe we'll do this again. Well, we will do this again. I take it back. So if you guys want to do this again, we'll do another live session and hopefully answer any other questions people come up with. So thank you all so much. This was awesome.
Yeah, everybody tell your friends about these things. These are great.
Yep, keep sharing them. So definitely. And this will be on YouTube. You guys can share that too. It might take a week or two, but we try to get them right up. So I will.
I appreciate you putting it on, Abby.